Detention Officer Anthony Nicoletti, Mojave County Sheriff's Office, Arizona. Correctional Officer 4, Tamala Alma Scanlon, Fresno County Sheriff's Office, California. Deputy Constable Kareem Atkins, Harris County Constable's Office, Precinct 4, Texas. Police Officer Yandy Cairino, Hollywood Police Department, Florida. Police Officer Ryan Hayworth, Knightdale Police Department, North Carolina. Firefighter Mark Gillum, Elwood, Indiana. Paramedic William J. Bill Sikora, Jeanette, Pennsylvania.
Hey everybody, welcome back to American Sons Podcast. Dylan.
And I'm Christian.
And this is episode 7. Hunter is not here with us today, so we will be doing Life as an American with American Sons. It's just going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, kind of an all-encompassing. We talk about anything, whatever, fun stuff, serious stuff, doesn't matter. But just a little bit of a switch gears. Maybe we'll break up the monotony a little bit. Maybe we won't. We'll see. But anyways, let's get started.
And before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to the intro music and the outro music for Scooter Brown Band named American Son. Great song. I love it. Fits perfectly. We all appreciate them letting us use it. We just got to give them a shout out every time, where it's due. This new style episode, we figured where the podcast is based on like a pro-freedom, American, the American dream, pro-freedom Constitution. And that's what we've been based on since day one, and that's what we're going to stay based on. But sometimes we need to have something else to talk about to spice things up a little bit. So you're going to be seeing these, not all, every now and then you'll see these episodes, and they're going to be labeled Life as an American.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, skip it, and come back the next week, and there'll be something totally different, probably more political stuff. But that doesn't mean we're not going to get into it on these episodes.
Yeah, who knows, man?
Even when we're off podcast talking, it always ends up.
That's right.
Stuff. So, and I just want to mention before we get started, I am very hoarse right now. Me and Dylan both Monday, ironically. We weren't together. We didn't eat. We were in separate states. We both ended up with food poisoning. And from that, I'm not going to get too graphic, but I've messed up my throat pretty bad. And even a week later, I'm still hoarse. So bear with me here. It might sound like I smoke about 18 packs a day, but...
Well, I got the headphones on. I think you sound pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was a painstaking 12 to 15 hours for me there.
I haven't had food poisoning in years. I woke up at 3:30 a.m., and I don't think I went to bed until around the same time. It sucked.
Oh, my gosh. So here, I got one for you. So my story with that was I woke up Monday morning at 5 o'clock-ish, going to go deer hunting.
Oh, God.
And so I walk out. I'm real quiet because, wife and kids are asleep. And so I'm using the restroom. I'm like, man, my stomach just doesn't feel quite right. It's like burning, though. It's not just like a hungry early in the morning stomach ache. It's burning.
Like, there's something wrong.
Something ain't right.
Yeah.
But I'm still pretty good. So I'm like, screw it, dude. I'm just going to go.
Oh, you went?
So I loaded up. I had all my stuff pretty much loaded up. And I get my hunting clothes on. Because, I'm not allowed to have those in the house because they smell like the outdoors.
That's right.
Anyway, so I'm like 3/4 of the way there, and I'm like, oh, frick, dude. This is a bad idea. I'm going to be stuck in a tree, and I'm starting to feel worse. So I turned around, drove home, and I went to bed in the guest bedroom, and it was a good thing. But anyways, I thought that was kind of funny. Taylor was like, man, it was a good thing you didn't go because you'd have been crapping yourself in a tree.
Dude, that is my irrational fear.
Oh, man.
I carry a pack with me. Like, it's like a half backpack. That's like a hiking pack.
Yeah.
But I always have it. No matter how far away I am from my truck, I could be right next to it. I'm having that pack. And I carry a wad of napkins in that pack because of that. Listen, I did some work back in the day, and it was like agricultural based. And something they always told us is if you get into a troubled spot, look for a plant called velvet leaf. Well, I got into a troubled spot one time. I was out.
Troubled spot.
I'm talking like 8 or 9 football fields out in a cornfield.
Yeah.
And it's full corn, so I can't see the road. I mean, imagine being anyway. So I got a little rumble in my stomach. I can't do anything. I gotta do what I gotta do, dude. I found some velvet leaf. That's nature's toilet paper, and I'm totally good saying that on the podcast, dude. The leaf is the size of your head, and it feels like satin.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Man, I'm gonna have to find that in the woods.
They look like big, like not banana leaves, but like an oak leaf, but just like this big.
Wow.
And they're like lime green, and when you feel them, they feel furry.
No kidding.
Yeah, dude.
I think any deer hunters that are serious,
That's
like,
something you should know.
hunt all day during the rut, might be thankful for that.
I don't know how people do that. I can't do that.
I can.
You do it?
Oh yeah.
I gotta come out of the stand
Nope,
at like
not me.
lunchtime, dude. I can't.
One of my dad's biggest deer he shot at like just after lunchtime, like 12 something.
See, the deer I've shot has always been dusk. Now I think it might be where I hunt. That's
Could be.
that's just their lifestyle, and when they eat. But
Are you hunting a field edge?
yeah,
Well,
that's
there
why
you go.
It was dusk. Yeah. Now if you hunt woods and they're moving around, that's a different story.
And during the rut, the bucks are on their feet looking for hot does to breed with.
Bow chicka wow wow.
That's right. And so if they're on the trail of one, or if they're searching for the trail that a hot doe is on, basically, if you want to know one of the most important tips about finding a buck trail, find a food source or a good funnel area, thick cover, and you'll have 1, 2, 3 trails going through it, right? All roughly in the same direction. And now if you're walking those trails and you come across a trail that is perpendicular to those trails, that is your buck trail. Because what he's doing is he's cutting every one of those trails and he's smelling. And if he smells a hot doe, bang, there he goes. He's got her, and he's going to follow that trail until he finds her, and then he's going to run her down and try to breed with her, whatever. But, so, a lot of times you'll have these hunters leave the woods, after their morning hunt and, or going back in for their afternoon hunt, and they'll bump deer. Or you just have deer, mature bucks, whatever, that'll get up midday and start cruising, searching, seeking, whatever you want to call it, for a hot doe. And that's why I try to stay in the woods all day. And I've had a lot of success with it. And my dad has had real success with it, shooting nice, mature bucks midday. So, plus to me, in today's world, and we'll get into this topic, into this, conversation a little bit, about how today's world is just so crazy. There's so many distractions. That to me is my favorite place on the planet, is to be in the woods. Doesn't have to be in a tree. I can be sitting at the base of a tree or whatever. To be hearing and seeing and smelling everything in the woods, hands down, that's my release.
Yeah.
That's where I get my center. And it's just, why would I don't want to leave it.
You know what always blows my mind? And I'm more of a, we're switching now to a different land, but where I was before, and I hunt Maryland and you hunt Delaware, so it's 2 different seasons and 2 different times, so it's different hunting. But location-wise, I hunt field edge, and you're more of a woods person. And when I first day we get out there, so Maryland season starts, the rifle season starts day after Thanksgiving every year. So we go out. So
yeah, that's late.
November. Yeah, it's very late. I forgot what day it is. That's bad. But I get out there, and it's cold, so I'm all bundled up, and I'm chilling. And we get out there. We always went out at like 5:30 and got in. We always like to get in the stand an hour before sunrise.
Dang, that's the 26th of November this year.
26. It's late.
Yeah.
And what blows my mind is when the sun starts coming up and I start seeing all the leaves and the birds and everything. And I'm like, I'm sitting there, and obviously I'm scented up, so they're not, I have birds land right next to me all the time that don't even know I'm there. But
oh, yeah.
the fact that that's there like every day, while I'm out living life, and I come back the same day every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still, it's still, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It blows my mind. And I think about this all the time to get real deep. How many people there are in the world and everybody's living their different life, but you live like your own little window and you think, this is all that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Like when you open that door, life suddenly starts behind that door.
Yeah.
It doesn't. So it's crazy. It blows my mind to think like right now, someone in Japan is starting their morning to go to work that I'll never know. I'll never see them, never talk to them.
Yeah.
But they're living their life, and the same thing with all of nature. It just blows my mind. And that's my big, it's like a very humbling and like centered, it's like you're like one.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't beat it.
There's a lot of good literature about how it's important for people, especially men, to center themselves in nature and the outdoors, and how that's a lost thing nowadays. And so you see a lot of lost men. I mean, whether it's domestic violence or sexual assault or crime in general, there's a lot of lost men out there. And why is that? Well, part of the reason, I'm not going to say the whole reason, but part of the reason is because we as a society, as a culture, as men, humans in general, have lost our way. We've not centered ourselves in a rugged experience. Andy Frisella, we reference him a lot, but on one of his episodes, him and this guy, Greg Anderson, talk about people in general don't deal with adversity much. And
They
you
don't
and I
challenge himself enough.
right.
Yeah.
And you and I hunting Delaware and Maryland, I mean, they're flat states. There's no predators, big predators. We're not really challenging ourselves. Yeah, we're going up against the cold, and if we go out duck hunting in the middle of January, 25 knot winds or something in a boat, that's a challenge, and you could die. If you fall in the water and you don't get help quickly, you could die. But you're not really challenged. However, we're challenging ourselves, I would argue, more than the vast majority of people out there, right?
Yeah.
So that adversity or that challenge, it sharpens us, it shapes us, it strengthens us in ways that a lot of people aren't doing to themselves now. I thought that was a really good point they made on their show, and how they encouraged more people to try to do something like that. The guys that live out west where they're hunting in the mountains or fishing or hiking, whatever, in the mountains with where they're they'll go from 5,000 feet to 9,000 feet, and there's a chance they'll walk up on a mountain lion or a bear of some sort. Like, that's more of a challenge, but it doesn't negate what we're doing here either.
Right.
But I'm just saying, I only make that point because a lot of people, especially our age, are more or less couch potatoes. They go to work,
Sure.
And like we talked about earlier, and we're getting ready to get into, a lot of people are just trying to get to Friday. Let me get through the work week.
Yeah.
Collect my paycheck, go to the store and get my beer, turn on the TV, and veg out.
There's a whole side of being a human. And, I mean, we're animals.
Yeah.
No matter what you believe or whatever, evolution or wherever we came from, we're animals at the end of the day. And I used to mountain bike with a guy, and we were out on a trail we would just go out on a Saturday, get lost, and figure out our way back. And we went out and pulled up on this open area, and it was in northern Delaware, I think almost in PA. So it was starting to get a little hilly, and it was awesome, gorgeous view. And I was like, man, this feels like right. Like something about it, like, and he's like, yeah, because you're not meant to be inside in a computer.
No.
You're a animal. You're a mammal. You're meant to,
That's right.
Men, you're meant, not even men, women too. You're meant to live in the woods and get dirty and, build your, like go out and hunt and get your food. And
That's right.
And that's what we've
Life's
lost.
Far too easy for us now.
Yeah. And that goes into like, you can live this life. Like what we
were given instincts.
Right.
And other basic survival tools, and we're not really utilizing them much anymore. And yes, you're correct. So if you put someone who doesn't want to be even, right? You see it in movies, Hollywood. You see it in shows, reality TV shows, whatever. You put someone through adversity. Let's take any person on the spectrum. It doesn't matter. But when they conquer that adversity, that challenge, how often are they like, dang, dude, I didn't think I could do it. I'm really proud of myself, and I can't believe it. My eyes are open. Like, I want to do this stuff more often, or like I have a whole new appreciation for myself, or like my self-confidence literally just went from the gutter to a decent level. And to be honest, I think I'm gonna go try to start this now. Or you can pull any number of examples, and you'll probably find it, whether it's on YouTube or the internet or Hollywood. You know?
That's why I have this, not even a theory. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. But if you look at like Navy SEALs, right, or like Jocko. Let's take Jocko. And something he says, all of them say, is you need to challenge yourself once a day. And there's a reason that Navy SEALs in general, they all preach the same thing. Now, it's what was instilled in them, and the military in general has that. I will not fail.
Yeah.
They have that ingrained in them. And there's a big reason why former military, anybody really, did you ever notice that a lot of former military, when they come out and get into business, they're usually on the top.
Yeah, they're generally successful.
They're like, yeah.
I mean, some of them are anyway. I don't. Be interesting to have like a statistic about that. But
I mean,
still,
I think I follow a lot of people like on Instagram and Facebook, and they're all military owned.
Yeah.
But like, I have a lot of friends who are in the military, and they all have that one thing about them.
They got that no quit in them.
Right. Either you walk, run, or crawl, but you ain't stopping.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot. I mean, a lot of people, I think it's a lot of laziness and complacency, which we talk about a lot.
And there's a plague of complacency in the country, possibly the world, but we're specifically talking about America. There is a plague of complacency in the country now, and it is lethal for health-wise, financial-wise, everything. And we talked about, part of the complacency is people aren't setting goals, both short-term goals and long-term goals.
Yep.
You got to look small picture, but you also got to look big picture. And that's to be successful in anything,
Yeah.
Whether it's your family, starting a family, or starting a business, or just your work that you're in now, your career. To be honest with you, this is a little bit of a crude example, but I belong to a hunt club. Not to go back to hunting, but it's something that I'm extremely passionate about. So it's a good example in my mind. And every now and it's a large property. It's 6,000 some acres probably.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lease. Delaware Wildlands, they own a ton of property in the whole state. But anyway, they do forest projects or logging projects every now and again in the property. And so what they do is that, they go in and they cut all the pine trees, or they'll cut all the trees. I don't know.
Right.
Specifically, pine is generally a lumber that is used and sold as probably the hottest commodity. But anyways, and they planned a new lumber project, logging project, whatever, for this specific tract of land. And typically it's not red hot hunting ground, let's say. The first year, because it's wide open, and a mature deer is not going to put itself in a wide open spot. It's unprotected during daylight hours.
Yeah.
Well, it's only legal to hunt during daylight hours, but that's obvious. So what I did was I looked big long term, and I said because I'm only allowed two spots, and we have to mark it with a sign. That's why I call it two signs in that property where we're allowed to hunt. So I made like a long-term investment, and I put a sign in this spot, because when that cutover grows up, being that it's so open, the amount of growth that happens in there is it's very quick, and it's remarkable how much grows immediately. The underbrush and the saplings, they just shoot right up, and so the deer love it in a couple years, just not immediately normally. And so that's just an example of big picture.
No, I think that's good though.
But the reason I make that point is you can do small term, big term, small picture, big picture planning in really every aspect of life.
Yeah,
You
should.
And you should. Yeah.
And more than likely, your short-term goals are going to play into your long-term goal.
Absolutely.
But you're not going to.
If you have a long-term goal, you can set up most, if not all, of your short-term goals to benefit that big
Right.
picture.
If you
that
say I'm
long-term
going to
goal.
save up $12,000 this year, you got to save up. More than likely, you're going to say, well, I'm going to save up $1,000 a month.
That's right. Yeah, that's
small
a
goal,
that's a
small
perfect
goal,
example.
small goal, into the big goal.
That's a great example because each goal is individual, but it's gosh dang, I can't think of the word. They all add up to meet the big goal. And what happens if you don't meet that small goal in freaking July? Now you got to really hump in freaking August. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You really got to bust a chop the next month or the next small goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I think that's it. That plays into a lot of aspects of life. I mean, I don't care about saying it. I mean, I own a small graphic design business on the side.
Yeah.
My daytime job. And
I think I just liked that on Facebook, didn't I?
yeah, you did.
Right on.
I mean, I've been vocal about it on social media because I've been trying to bridge other people to do the same thing I did. I went to college. It's not in graphic design.
Yeah.
My college, I have 2 degrees. I have a major in criminal justice and a minor in sociology. Absolutely nothing to do with graphic design or anything. The way I learned graphic design is through YouTube, self-learning.
Yeah.
And when everybody was out partying,
And you had motivation.
yeah, because
teach
I
yourself.
saw the long-term goal, and I still do see it.
Yeah.
All that money I'm saving, it's going to go for a house or an investment, my retirement.
Yeah.
Or maybe one day I don't have to do my daytime job. I have a graphic design business that's flourishing that I can just, I work right out of my house.
That'd be awesome.
You know what I mean? So it's that small window that you have to see in order to be a long-term. And I think that's just lost in this generation. It might be lost in everybody, but it's just lost. I don't see it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's definitely people that choose not to or have to work a lot harder
Yeah.
to motivate themselves to look long term or have a big picture goal. But I would agree that the majority of people our age or this generation, whatever generation it is now, and
We
the
were just talking about
generation
this
before
before.
that, like Z or Y or
Yeah.
millennial or whatever the frick, I don't know. But I would argue, yes, you're correct. And we'll start to see, it's because life's been too freaking easy. There's no adversity.
Correct. Yeah.
But we'll start to see the, help me out here. We'll see the fruits of this, not labor.
effects.
Yeah, we'll see the effects of the lack of people wanting to have any big picture or long-term goals or motivation in the future, and it's going to be a nationwide economic effect. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be maybe there's going to be fewer business owners, and there's going to be fewer this, fewer that, and all of that matters in the national economy. State economy, everything.
What runs the economy?
Small
Small
businesses.
business,
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
And we can take this a million ways, but I'll take it this way because this is where I see it most apparent. I met other guys at college who had businesses while they were in college. They started them there,
Yeah.
and they're still doing them now. And I think, and we talked about this on episode 3 or 4, where the school system, high schools, public high school, middle school, gears you to work, not lead, not to be a lead. How many?
We definitely talked about that in 3.
Yeah. How many financial classes did you take in high school?
0.
Right. So, someone coming out of high school, there's a good book called A Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, I've got it.
Have you read it?
No, not yet.
You should. It's a great book. But he talks about a lot of stuff in there. But something he talks about is the game of catch up that kind of is a plague as well. that people don't understand financial, and basically you make 40 grand a year, so you go out and buy a new car, and then you go buy a new house, and you go into debt.
Yeah.
So then you work that much harder to be able to pay that debt back. And then you get promoted and you make more money. So now you go buy a new phone.
Yeah.
And now you have to work harder to pay that debt off.
Yeah.
Well, then you get another promotion a couple years later. You're making more money. So you get more stuff. And then blah, 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 and it just adds up, where you'll always be an employee. It's never you're an owner. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if people understood finances, and I'll circle back to what we were talking about, but if people understood finances and good debt, and there is such thing as a good debt. Now, I'm not talking about a loan or school loan, but good debt is other people's money working for you. Like if you got like a USDA loan on your house, that's the federal government paying for your house that you can rent and make money off of. That's just one example. But circle back.
Okay, John. We got political. We had to.
Sorry. People, I think it's a direct issue with our school system. And if you don't have that initiative to pick up a book like Rich Dad or Poor Dad, or go onto YouTube and watch a YouTube video on how to learn graphic design, or how to get into real estate, or how to open a business. Let's talk about taxes.
Or to make it like a step, not to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go for it.
Or to take it a step back even further. You said specifically graphic design, and that's your example. No one's learning a trade anymore.
No one.
They're not teaching trades in school anymore.
Yeah.
College is driven down your freaking throat, you know? I mean, I didn't even know that there was another option to life when I was in high school. 9th grade, you're like, oh, well, I guess 4 years of this, and then you go right into college. That's just the way life
always
goes.
Driven down your
but
throat.
That's not true. And I'm going to tell you right now that colleges are a business, and they're out to make money.
100%.
And even in-state tuition for my state at University of Delaware, like, it's gone through the roof, and it goes up every year. Why? Well, okay, inflation, you can make those arguments, but not really, dude. Not to the point of the percentage raise that they increase tuition. And who in their right mind would pay an even in-state tuition at University of Delaware, which, to be honest with you, I don't know it exactly. Maybe I should just look it up right here. I got my laptop in front of me. But
back in the day, a college degree was a big deal. And it still is. Don't get me wrong. If you go through it and get a college degree,
yeah, I see where you're going with this.
Good on you. You know, that's a great thing. And I've had this argument with my parents too, because it's just they come from a different time.
Yeah.
I see it differently. But a college degree now, in my eyes, just says you can live by yourself and you know how to get your assignments done on time.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be if you got an associate's degree, wow, that's really great. And now it's like, okay, no one really cares about associate's degree. It's a bachelor's degree that matters. Well, arguably, you like you just said, you got a bachelor's in what? Criminal justice?
Criminal justice with a minor in sociology.
And you're not working in that field.
Not at all.
But I would argue that most people aren't working in the field that they got a degree in. Not the exact field.
Yeah,
maybe a field that correlates a little bit, but not an exact field. And I'm going to tell you this. I think an employer that's worth his salt anyway. But I think most employers, if you have not just sending in a resume and being done with it, if you have to have an interview face-to-face, or you can even do a decent job on the phone, if you talk like you and I are talking right now, in a well-spoken, respectful manner, professional, and you are able to articulate yourself, your thoughts, your words, and say, look, I realize I may not have the most experience, let's say as a carpenter, but I'm willing to work hard and I'm willing to learn, and I will work for you from start to finish every day. I'll learn as much and as fast as I can. You're only going to have to tell me how to do something once. I can tell you this much right now. There's not, that I've seen, there's not a college degree in carpentry. But
no, there's not.
If let's just use, my dad's got a business, a construction business.
Yeah.
If he had to choose between two employees, one that had a bachelor's in construction and one that called him and said that to him, I already know who my dad's going to hire.
Yeah.
He's going to hire the driven person who's willing to come and learn, hands-on, blah, 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 blah. So I guess to round out that point, I would argue, and it's attached to the whole financial thing, like in debt and just the outrageous cost of colleges now anyway, but it's a cumulative point that college is not really worth it anymore, I don't think.
I agree.
I've been out of college for going on, it'll be 5 years in January. I'm still paying student loans, and I will be for a while. And that was my own decision. But is it worth it? I don't know, man. I don't know. Just to give, for any listener that doesn't know, and you, since I probably haven't told you in detail, but I work in the tug industry, the maritime industry, on a tugboat, and you can enter and promote all the way to the top in that industry with not a day of school. You join, let's just argue, let's say a kid gets out of high school. He's 18 years old. He goes down to, forgive me because I don't remember what building it is, but there's one on your way to Salisbury on 50.
Yeah.
You go get a TWIC card, Transportation Worker Identification Card. It's like $125. All they do is run a background check and take your fingerprints, and then they'll mail it to you. It's a federal card, identification thing. So you can enter secure facilities. Truckers, when they go pick up a container from a terminal.
It's like
or
you get
port.
a clearance card.
Yeah, basically. But that is like the minimum to get into the maritime industry. So now you're working on a tugboat, let's just say, because that's the industry I'm in. Now you're 18 years old, you're working on a tugboat. The Coast Guard and the National Maritime Center have criteria for you to meet in order to upgrade. There's a couple different things, and whether or not all of them make sense is an argument for another day. But if you're working on a 500-ton tugboat as a deckhand, because that's what you would enter the industry as, you're an unskilled laborer to start, they could do X amount of days. Let's say it's 3 years, and since you work, let's just, for a quick example, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, you're going to work 6 months out of the year. So you get 182 and a half days a year. Let's just say there's 540 days out of 3 years that you work. And after 540 days, that deckhand can now test. He has to study certain material, which the Coast Guard tells you, and he can find it for himself, so he still doesn't have to go to school, or he can get a tutor or whatever the heck, doesn't matter. He can study, he can test at a National Maritime Center, Baltimore, New York, anywhere. And he can upgrade himself to a mate. And then he can start working as a mate. There's a pay increase. Now you have new responsibilities, new duties, new skills to learn. And you're also a management level because that mate now is going to direct what he used to be, deckhands.
Right.
Anyways, to make a long story short, you don't have to go to school to get a well-paying, decent-paying, high-paying job and develop skills and to be successful in this life. I mean, how many times in the recent future, or excuse me, the recent past, have we seen memes or articles or whatever of the demand for laborers, or not even the laborers, the demand for trade, people in trades.
Yeah.
And if excuse me, listeners, if I'm not exactly correct, but I believe among all the trades, once you own your own business, so let's not just don't start yelling at me on social media or something and say, oh, you're wrong. Once you own your own trade, so you get in it and you start working for a while, you get some experience and you're a driven person, you go start your own business in that trade, roughly about $70,000 a year, which is a real good living on the Eastern Shore.
I'm going to say probably more if you own your own business.
You're probably right.
Depending on the trade, yeah, you're probably making more.
You're probably right. But I'm just what I can remember seeing initially was $70,000 of all the trades. That's the median income, I think.
Right.
That's a real good living, dude. And the kicker is you don't have student loans.
Yeah.
I've
always said if I went back.
That was long-winded, and I'm sorry.
No,
but
you're
anyway.
fine. My circumstances are a little different as far as college, but if I went back and chose trade, I wish I would have went welding or electrician. I'm a hands-on guy. I'm not a book guy. I never have been. And when you look at the salaries, dude, coming out of high school and going straight into that, even as a basic level of anything, you're making more money than people with a college degree that just spent
on average
hundreds of thousands of dollars, or probably a little over $100,000 at college to get that degree. And they're going to be paying that off.
When I graduated in January 2017, I guess it was. Anyway, I finished school in December of 16, I think. But the average, so the median income for students nationwide graduating with a bachelor's was like $35,000 or $37,000.
Yeah. And people still look at that and be like, well, I guess I'm going to college.
Yeah, right. But how that? But you can't pay your student loans on a six-figure student debt
Absolutely not. Yeah.
and live a life without eating Chef Boyardee every night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or SpaghettiOs. I mean, where are you going to live and what are you going to eat? Because that's a lot of money, 6 figures. And
Even around here,
they're not going to give you a 30-year fixed mortgage on a student loan. They're giving you 15 years max.
yeah, even around here, 30 to 35,000 by yourself you're skimming by.
Dude, that's hard, man, for anybody.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
still, with student loans thrown in the mix of every other life bill.
You're really skimming by.
Yeah, dude, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the whole point of this is, I guess just like young people, our generation is just kind of lost.
Yeah.
They're just following the norm, go to college. I mean, in my opinion, college is all just a party fest for 4 years now.
For a lot of people.
Yeah.
Social
And they're
gathering.
lost, and that there's like a lack of knowledge out there. The day I was never into reading at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been reading recently, but I'm going to get back in. I've been busy. That's not an excuse. I should be reading. But Rich Dad Poor Dad was the first financial book I picked up.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it changed my whole outlook. And I realized when I picked that up, if you don't seek the knowledge, you're done.
Yeah.
You've already lost.
Right.
And people aren't seeking that knowledge. If people would just go on YouTube and watch some videos,
Yeah.
dude, your mind would be blown.
I think we're kind of rounding this one out. But
Yeah, for
I
sure.
will say, you made a really good point. You have to go and get the information and the knowledge yourself. I think personal responsibility really comes into play here, and a lot of people don't want that. But at the end of the day, you're your biggest critic, you're your biggest enemy, and you're your biggest advocate. And mommy and daddy aren't going to do it for you. The government for sure ain't going to freaking do it for you. You have to do it for you. When you look in the mirror in the morning, you're responsible for your success and you're responsible for your defeat most of the time. So let's stop playing, let's stop making excuses for ourselves and let's start taking personal responsibility. You and I included, and everyone that's listening, we got to go grab life by the tail and get what we want out of it.
Yeah.
You know?
And just a closing thought here. The whole reason we started this podcast was that we didn't want to go 10 years from now and look back and say, well, I wish I would have done that. I wonder where that could have turned into. And I wonder how many people, lives we could have changed or information we could have got out there and helped people. That's the same thing that I think about when I see an older person. I look at them. I'm like, I wonder if they achieved what they wanted to achieve when they were 20.
Yeah.
And what if they didn't? If I was 70 years old and right now I want to open up a graphic design agency at some point, a business, go full time with it, have my own little office somewhere, have employees. What if I'm 70 years old and right now I give it up? And then when I'm 70, I'm like, man, I wonder if I could have. I wonder what that would have turned into. I wonder if it would have been a $100 million business one day, or
who knows?
You never know. So that's what drives me. That's what makes me have goals.
Run them down, man. Run down those dreams.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody talk you out of it.
And I think we've lost sight of that.
A lot of people have.
Yeah. So I think we're wrapping this one up. We've said that about 6 times now, but again.
Yeah, guys, thanks, for tuning in. If you've listened to it, sure. I know this is, not our normal podcast,
Something
and that's
different.
okay. That's okay. I'd be really eager to hear. We've got some feedback from some people, and I'm really appreciative of that. You guys who have responded or reached out to us, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. But I'd be really eager to hear some feedback on this podcast and all of them. And let us know what you think about what's going on. It doesn't have to be political. It doesn't have to be COVID related. It can be anything. Let's you guys could give us the ideas for our next
Yeah.
Life as an American.
It
with
could
the
be
American
a
Sons
question
podcast.
and answer thing. If you got a question for us, it could be political or not. But we want.
And if we get enough of them, we can do a Q&A thing.
Yeah, we could.
You
And
know?
we just wanted this to be more casual. I mean, we went from my hoarse voice to hunting to society to
Right.
owning
Yeah.
a business to
Yeah.
And I mean, like future plans for this, we want to bring a guy in to come talk about taxes, owning a business, just
All
it's
kinds of stuff.
anything. But this again isn't going to be a usual thing. It's going to be, you know, every so often
Yeah,
we'll put
yeah.
one of these out just to kind of spice it up and change stuff up a little bit. So we definitely want to hear you guys' feedback.
Yeah, feedback's going to definitely drive the frequency of this kind of stuff, I would say.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're two normal red-blooded American guys sitting here, and
Usually three, but
three normal.
Hunter's out.
He's definitely a red-blooded American. We love him dearly. But you know, I just wanted to throw that in there that this is not two guys talking at you. This is two guys talking with you. So if you want to be a part of it, please message us.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to end the episode. Remember to thank your fire, EMS, police, nurses, doctors, everyone holding that front line.
Oh, yeah.
Usually this is Hunter's line. He'll be back in a little bit to say it, but for now, I'm doing it. I hope you hear that, Hunter.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you guys. Have a great one.